Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of our Unreal Character Selection series. In the last episode, we've made that selection menu fade in and out, which looks really swishy. Look at that. I press Alt, the menu fades in, press Alt again, and the menu kind of wisps away. That's very cool. So we made that happen, but I'd like to add something else to this animation, or rather to the menu, that is a little description text right above all the characters so that people know that when we press 1, 2, 3, and 4, we can actually change the character's outfit, and with 5, 6, and 7, we can change their skin tone, since we've worked so hard on making that happen. And it's actually fairly easy to do. All we need to do, since the fading animation thing is already in place, all we need to do is add another element to our menu. And that is, of course, happening in our selection menu. So I'm going to go and with nothing selected like we found out last time, currently I either need to place my playhead over here, or if I don't select an animation, which I might just not do, I might go and select off that, I just need to reset that value of our render opacity in the details panel, so just that I can see where my menu is, so I can place some text in relation to it. So I'm going to go set this to 1. Just remember that we're going to need to set it back to 0 as soon as we're ready to play our game. I'm going to go and create a little bit more text. I think this is just the text value that I need. Just some text. I could say rich text. I'm just going to use text and drag it in anywhere in the viewport. Let's go and set some descriptive text here. So I'll just type something in here for now. We're going to override that later in code, but just for now, press 1 to 4 to change outfits. Oh yeah, and then also maybe a pipe, or like some kind of other symbol, press 5 to 7 to change skin tone. Does that look good? I can't tell. Maybe it does. Maybe it's a bit too big. I don't know yet. Before I position it, let me just go and take care of my anchors. I'm going to do the same as that I did on the horizontal box here. So this text isn't going to be part of the horizontal box. It's going to be another element. The horizontal box is at the bottom center. So I'm going to do the same with my text, which is currently at the top left here. So under anchors, I'm going to go select this little icon here. I'll set my anchor for the text to the middle. I'm going to go and reset the position and in fact the size as well. I might just go and size this whole box to the content so that it's the same size as to whatever the text is that I'm putting in here. And just like before, we're going to go and set the alignment of X to 0.5 so that the whole text is in the middle of the relation to the anchor. And then I just need to pick a good looking, handsome looking value for the Y value. Maybe 2. Nah, 2 isn't going to work. 4 maybe. Nah, how about 5? Yeah, 5 is going to do fine. And that'll make my text now appear above the menu. Let's see what that looks like if I were to go and play this. I always like to do this and see it in full screen. That's what it looks like. That's nice. So maybe that's a little bit, is it too big? Is it too big? Is the gap too big between the characters and the, yeah, I think that's a little bit too big. So we're going to set this slightly lower and make the text slightly smaller. I think that'll be happiness. I'm kind of happy with the font and with the white of it. That's cool. It kind of blends in with these other values here. But I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And also I might just go and set its opacity just a little bit lower so that it kind of blends in. That it's not 100% opaque, just blends in a little bit more. Let's see if we can make that happen. So back on the selection menu, instead of a value of 5, we'll try 4.5. 4.5 might be good. I don't want it to encroach on the icons there. And maybe that's a bit too low. Let's say it's 4.6 perhaps. Yeah, I can see that. I should also really judge it by looking at the font and setting the font from 24 to perhaps to 18. Ah, see, good thing I did that. So now, of course, we need to look at a different value. But 7 is probably too much. 6. How about 5? 5. Somewhere between 5 and 6. So 5.5. Yeah, okay, let's do 5.8. And let's try again. Yeah, I'm kind of happy with that. That's nice. It's not too big. It just gives that little descriptive text. I think I'm happy with that. But, by all means, make it a creative decision that you support and that you're happy with. So make it as big or small as you like. I'm just thinking this is nice. I don't want this to be too obtrusive. I just want a little description there. Opacity. Let's just, being the belt and braces kind of guy that I am, I'm not going to set this on the render opacity. No, actually, I could do that. Let me go do that. I'm going to do this on the render opacity. Or no, actually, I'm going to do this on the color and opacity value here under the alpha value. I'm going to set this to 0.8 so that it just blends into the background a little bit. It's almost the same as the render opacity. It just affects the color of this. So A is the alpha value. If that was 0, then our text will be completely transparent. If that was 1, then it's completely opaque. And something slightly less than that, like 0.8, that'll just make it dim and make the background just shine through ever so slightly. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that and crack on with it. So now currently the menu at the bottom here, the whole horizontal box is animated with our amazing fade menu animation, but the text isn't part of that. So the text is kind of lives outside that animation. And of course, I want it to be queued and animated, perhaps not in the same way, but certainly at the same time. So I'd like to add the text option to the animation as well. Tell you what, let's do then. Let's go and select our text, and up here in the details panel where it says some random name now, text block 176, I'm going to call that something that I can remember what it is, because I'd like to change the value of that text later, depending if we're using a gamepad or if we're using a mouse and keyboard. So very interesting things coming up there. So for now, let's call it description text. And with that selected, I'm going to go and select my animation down here and go create myself another track, just like we did before for the horizontal box. So now I'm going to add another track that animates a different object, but on the same animation. Hit track, hit description text, because that'll be the object I'd like to animate. And inside description text, let's go and select track. I've got other properties here that I can animate now. Notice they're different to the ones that I could animate on the horizontal box. So in my case, I'm thinking I'd like for that to not just fade in. I'd like for this to animate somehow differently. I could slide it in from the left, from the top, from the right, and all that. Sliding things is good, but they'll have to come out as well. So you have to kind of think about what's best looking for the menu. I might just animate a size property on it. And size is something that's part of the transform property. So let's go use the transform for now. That's that. Now we have pretty much the same thing or the same kind of setup that we had before. We're animating a keyframe this time on our transform options. Let's see what they are, what types of transform options we're talking about here. We can have the translation, the rotation, the scale, and the shear value. That's if you're familiar with the shear, that's kind of the, angling thing. So that could be a nice effect, that it could just go something like that. I'm going to not do that. I'm going to stick with the scale value, which is of course the size. And we have an option to animate the X and the Y size separately from one another. So that might be quite nice. So for now, I'm going to go and park my playhead at the same position as my other animation was ending. So at 1 second, and I'm going to go and press that little icon here, or in fact hit enter. I think now I'm a kind of a button clicking kind of guy. I'm setting 2 keyframes here for the X and Y values, and now I'll see what might be a cool effect for that to bring in here. So you could animate both values. I could go from 0 on both options, then the menu is just gonna come in like that. That might be cool. But I think what might look even cooler is if we just animate one value. And I always forget if X or Y, what X is and what Y is in this regard. So I'm just going to go try it out. Set X to 1 and animate only Y. And then this happens. That's kind of what I wanted on the menu. That's a nice effect. Like, that's, add that sound effect there. I might do that actually. So yes, that's a nice way to animate the menu. Could also do it the other way around, that we leave the X value on 0 and just animate the Y value to 1. And then that will be the effect. That might look cool as well. I actually prefer the first option, so I might go use that. That the menu just kind of, goes. That's, I like that. I like that. I could even go over the top and set another keyframe here. If I wanted to bounce, then I could animate that manually. I could just I could grab my keyframes and place them here to 0.75 maybe, and add another keyframe at 1, which would be the 1 value. And then the previous keyframe that I've got here, I could increase the values a little bit to say 1.2, just to show you how that could affect your animation. So you can set as many keyframes as you like, and this would be the result. Doing, that you see this. Doing. If add another sound value there. Doing, if you wanted to do that. I don't think I will. Just so that those are all options that you have in animation. Animation is a complex topic. I'm just going to go remove them and also animate it the other way around, so that I'm going to start with X value of 1 and a Y value of 0. That just makes my menu come out like that. Let's just see what it looks like, shall we? Play this, and the whole menu comes up. We're going to take care of that in a moment, just to see, are we happy with the way it does animate? Kind of happy with the way it animates in, but the out, I'm not entirely. I think it could just be snappier. It could just be snappier. I mean, as you get used to what will look like what, I mean, I already knew that the fade in of 1 second wouldn't be fast enough. I'm now thinking that a fade out of 1 second, because we're not speeding that up on the output, we might want to do that, and that'll probably do the description text disappearing the world of good. Let's just do that. And also, notice what happens that when you keep pressing the Alt key, actually, it goes and it doesn't start the animation from the beginning. It starts it from where it is right now. That's kind of a cute trick here, isn't it? So there's no jumps there. It's very smooth. Yes, let's do that. Let's do these two things. The moment I start playing the game, we need to change the values to be invisible, or as if it were before the animation. And then we're going to go and speed up our output animation so that it just disappears a little bit snappier. Easily done. Let's do this. So first of all, on the Cinti character, on the hide menu, here's what we're doing to play the animation forwards. We're going to use a playback speed of 2, and we can probably make it even faster. We can just try 3. And on the hide menu option, we're also going to do 3. So that means the animation is now being sped up as we play it. That's one thing. The other thing is, of course, happening on the menu itself. So with the animation selected, with our description text selected, we just need to quickly look. What am I actually animating? Just so that I can see what I need to set to the default value. So X stays on 1, Y remains on 0. That's cool. Good to know. I'm going to click on this gray like nothingness here in the animations thing, so I can set the default properties of my text and of my menu. Text first. That is, so this is actually, this good that we're going through this. This is not under here. This is not under the slot headline here. Don't set these values to anything other than they currently are. We need to set the transform values, which are slightly further down. This is under here. This is render transform. This is what we'd like to set. So in our case, that is I've already forgotten, man, short-term memory. I'm so sorry. We need to set the Y value to 0. Sorry about that. Short-term memory. So click that. Y value needs to be set to 0 on the scale. That's that. Set that to 0. That makes that menu disappear. On our horizontal box, we need to use the render opacity, which is under the behavior tab up here. That needs to be set to 0. Then the menu kind of disappears. But now, as we cue the animation, we go and see exactly what happens to both my items there. Going in and going out. That should be that. So if we go and have a look at that now in full screen, Technicolor, widescreen, Dolby stereo, everything, that should now fade in and go out rather snappily. There we go. I think I'm kind of liking that. I'm liking the look of that. Is that snappy or what? Look at how far we've come. We've almost got a game. There's nothing to do in the game other than run around, but we can certainly change our character with the snappiest menu ever. And we can change outfits and skin tones and all that. This is seriously cool. I like it. Congrats if you've made it this far and if everything works for you as well. That is awesome. That is really good to know. Yeah, look at that. We've made all this happen over the course of the last, well, don't know, couple of hours. That is not bad. Got functionality. Lots of functionality. Swishiness. Excellent. Let's make this thing even swishier in the next episode by adding gamepad compatibility to the whole thing. Join me for that. We're going to make the whole project gamepad compatible. We can already walk around. That is already hooked up. But when we use the gamepad, we currently can't bring up the menu. And we're going to make that happen in the next episode.